Are you micromanaging all of your relationships and all parts of your life? Are you allowing fear and your inner controller to permeate every part of your life? This was the case for me. My inner controller was ruling the roost. My inner controller showed up in the way that I parented, by becoming enmeshed, by trying to rescue and fix. My inner controller showed up in my other relationships, friendships, and marriage, preventing me from being vulnerable, being intimate, because there's such an underlying fear of being rejected, of being abandoned, of not pleasing the other, having disapproval, or having someone upset with me, AKA the people pleaser. That fear was so strong that it prevented me from being vulnerable or taking risks. And I kept my perfection and people pleasing mask on very tightly. When we allow fear or our inner controller, because that's what we do when we're in a place of fear, of lack, of scarcity, we try to compensate and deal with that by controlling. We feel like we try to control all aspects of our lives. Thus, I call it our inner controller. The problem is when you're living from a place of fear and wearing masks to protect yourself, it's very difficult to have close, meaningful relationships because you're not allowing yourself to be vulnerable and intimate. So I've been talking about this throughout all the episodes. This isn't new. This is just a repeating of a very important point of what the quote unquote prison can look like if you continue to allow your inner controller to take over. You may end up trying to micromanage your relationships. If you're always controlling and trying to manipulate or orchestrate how people are interacting with one another or with you and what they're feeling, number one, it's exhausting because it's impossible to control people, places, and things. I share often the Serenity Prayer, which is, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot control. I cannot control other people, I cannot control places, and I cannot control circumstances. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot control, the courage to change the things I can. What can I control? Mostly it's just me. I can control my reactions, thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, and the wisdom to know the difference. There's so much freedom when I can embody and remember that prayer. Oftentimes, when I forget it, I'm in a place of anxiety or my nervous system is dysregulated. Now, I will say that for years, I was stuck in that place of anxiety, fear, lack, and control, and trying to micromanage, trying to fix, trying to rescue. And this still can show up for me. It's not like it has completely disappeared, nor do I believe that for any of us, these old patterns go away completely. They can be healed and minimized to a great extent for sure. I am so aware when these old patterns or behaviors show up. And if I fall back into a place of trying to rescue, fix, or manage, I'm well aware of it. I feel it almost automatically. Most of the time, I'm trying to rescue, fix, or manage things for my kids, even though they are now 25 and 22. It really wasn't long ago when I was feeling a lot of anxiety and fear around my daughter's decision to find an internship and where she was going. I can remember just wanting to micromanage her and question all of her decisions, and came right out and said, I don't think that this decision, this choice is a good decision, is a good choice. Now, is that okay to just share my opinion? Sure. Like, we're all entitled to express what we think or feel. But the difference was there was this energy of, you can't do this. It's wrong and it's going to end up being a catastrophe. I was projecting my own fear, my own worry about the future. That's also another big indicator of why our inner controller will get so ramped up, because we have such a hard time allowing ourselves to be in that place of the unknown. It's way too vulnerable and way too difficult to be in the present moment, one day at a time, and letting go of any worry about the future. We don't even know if we have the future. We hope to. We hope to live very long lives, but the truth is, we don't know if we have tomorrow. I have spent so much of my life, so much of my energy, really just worrying. Like, I was addicted to worry. And I allowed that addiction and my inner controller to ruin so much of my joy. It stole my inner peace and it stole my joy, because if I'm always worried about the future, if I'm anxious, my nervous system is dysregulated. I'm not calm. I'm not in my body. I'm in my mind. I'm in my thoughts, which is where I spend so much of my time and energy. And because it's so uncomfortable and difficult to be in that place, I would want to go to a place of numbing. It became too overwhelming. My thoughts, my feelings, my emotions were overwhelming. I would turn to just numbing out. My drug of choice has always been food or sugar. So I would overeat, or sometimes it would be with wine or binging on Netflix, dealing with my emotions in that way. Not a fun way to live. And it's not a great way to have really close relationships. Most people in my circle would look at my life and they would think that my life was perfect. They would look at my beautiful house, the car I was driving, or my nice clothes. If I was having a get together at my house, everything was done perfectly. I was always so nice, pleasing, and accommodating. You can hear the perfection mask. You can hear the people pleasing mask. If you're listening to this podcast, Masks Off, for people pleasers and perfectionists, and I am Kim Gross, by the way, the host of this podcast. If you're listening to it, then you know what I'm speaking to here about the pleasing and the perfecting. People would look at my life and not realize how much I was struggling internally. Not long ago, I got together with a friend from high school. She read my book and heard about my podcast. And she said to me, Kim, I had no idea that you were struggling so much in high school. I had no idea that you felt the way that you did. I had no idea that you felt like you weren't enough or that you were unworthy. And so that's the point that I'm trying to illustrate here, is that we can wear our masks so well and put our best foot forward or put ourselves out in the world in a way that people wouldn't even necessarily know how much we're struggling internally, that our inner landscapes are a freaking hot mess. So, what I want to say, that's the prison, the real prison, when in your mind You are suffering greatly because you're feeling anxious, you're living in fear, always trying to control yourself or other people and outcomes. And it's exhausting if you're constantly trying to micromanage your relationships. It is a surefire way to kill intimacy because the other person is going to feel all of that energy. The other person's going to feel your anxiety. They're going to feel your worry. They're going to feel that you're dysregulated, that you're uptight, that you're tense. They might not see it necessarily, but they're going to feel something, especially those that are close to you, those that are in your inner circle. Kids, if you have them, your partner, your siblings, parents, best friends, those people will be able to feel something from you if that's how you're living out your day to day. So, again, if you're micromanaging your relationships, it is a sure way to kill intimacy. I know for certain that my kids could feel whenever I was in an anxious, worried state, whenever I was trying to fix or control or manage or rescue. Even once I started doing this podcast about 5 years ago, we started to have language now. Mom, you're wearing your mask, or Mom, you're in anxious worry. And they would then, because they were at that time like 20 and 17. So they could understand what all of that meant. And they had a language now. When they felt my energy being off, they could say to me, that was a way of letting them set a boundary. Hey, Mom, take your mask off. Or Mom, you're super controlling right now. As soon as they would say that to me, it was a pause button for me. And I would take a step back and realize 98% of the time they were spot on. If I paused and I went inward, I could tell that I was feeling anxious. I was worried. I was trying to fix or I was trying to control or manage something for them because I was fearing, what if this happened? What if this happens? If I don't speak up and tell them to do blah, 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 then what if they don't have any money? What if they end up living on the streets? That's catastrophic thinking. And sometimes where my mind would go, and it would make me feel super uptight. There was a time with my kids when I was in that space a majority of the time. And I have a huge regret about that. A lot of the time I spent with them when they were young, they experienced me from a dysregulated, anxious, worried place. Very rarely was I able to be calm, relaxed, fun, just chilling. It took a long time and a lot of work to let go of that control, to accept what is. I had to do enough inner work that I was able to trust more. I could trust that no matter what happened to them or to me, I was capable of navigating through it. I had a hard time with fear and control because as a young child, I had a belief system that I wasn't capable of being able to handle hard things, that I wasn't capable of managing my emotions when something big happened because I grew up in an environment where we didn't talk about feelings, we didn't identify feelings, I didn't feel my feelings. And so I just disassociated whenever I had big emotions of fear, sadness, or anger. I cut off from them because it's just what we did. It took a long time for me to learn to come back into my body, to learn that it's okay to feel my feelings, to identify them, allow them to be there, and to remind myself that I am capable and you're capable as well of handling whatever comes your way. When you have that type of belief or trust in yourself, no matter what happens, If the whole sky comes crumbling down, you will get through it. This too shall pass, and you're capable and strong to do what you need to do. As I started to come more into that place of trusting myself and trusting the universe, I was able to let go of fear. As I let go of the fear, I didn't feel as much that I needed to be controlling. My inner controller is starting to relax. My inner controller can take the back seat more often and just chill out. When my daughter and I went to Italy a couple of years ago, we made a pact with each other that no matter what happened on this trip, we were going to do our best to be, she would say, Mom, we're just going to be straight chilling. And I wrote about this story in my book, Free to Be, A Pathway to Inner Liberation, which, if you're interested in reading about my journey of going from prison to paradise, you can grab your copy on Amazon.com. So I share the story in the book where she said, Mom, we're just going to be straight chilling no matter what happens. And we were going to three different parts of Italy: southern part of Italy, Taormina, and then we were going to the middle part, the coast. So we went to Capri, and then finally we ended in northern part of Italy where we went to Lake Como, and then we flew in and out of Milan. We had many flights, car services, boats, all kinds of arrangements where if there were the possibility of things going wrong, it could have gone wrong on this trip. And because we were both in a mental space, an energy of just, we were going to flow with whatever happened because we could handle whatever happened. As long as I had my credit card with me and my phone, we were good. And every single flight was on time. We didn't miss a single flight. Every driver was on time. We had only one driver that did not speak English, and yet we were still able to communicate with that person. We had amazing weather. Prior to arriving in Italy, Italy was having unusually cold weather with a lot of rain. And just before we got there, there was a volcano in Taormina that erupted. All of that happened before. So when we got there, everything was amazing and we had the best time. We stayed healthy for the most part and just really enjoyed ourselves. I believe a lot of that was testament to just relaxing and flowing with the universe. Instead of getting nervous and uptight, we just went with it. Now, were there a few times when I started to get tense and uptight? Yep, because it's an old pattern. I would get into worrying about something. It's like a knee jerk reaction, very old, very familiar pattern. But I would remind myself, or my daughter would remind myself and say, Mom, we're just going to be straight chilling. And so I share that story to exemplify how having that kind of energy, that kind of mind shift, that mind state can impact your day to day. It can impact the way that your relationships are. And so what's possible is having this energy shift once you really embody trusting and relaxing and knowing that everything is working out just as it's supposed to and everything is here for you and not happening to you. That's a huge shift for me as well, is that you then start to just open up more and you attract people in. People want to be attracted to you because you're in this flow state. You're in your essence energy rather than being in your ego or rather than being in the energy with your masks on where you're trying to control and forcing and you're resisting and you're anxious and you're dysregulated. Now you're just in this being state more. And people can feel that and they want to be drawn to that. And I'm a testament to that happening in my own current life. Every single day, I have more inner peace. I relax more into my body. I'm open. I'm grateful. I'm loved. And that allows for more connection, more intimacy, rather than killing intimacy, because I'm no longer feeling the need to have to micromanage every single part of my life. And as I said earlier, my inner controller is relaxing. And I'm happy to say that my inner controlling is chilling out. And that's my hope. That's my wish for you, is that you can get to a place of being able to just really be grateful for life, to be relaxed, to trust life, to be flowing through life, to just be straight chilling. And your inner controller is losing its grip on you and on your life, and that you are able to have more connected and more intimate relationships, not only with the people in your life, but with yourself, with nature, and all of life. That's my hope for you, because there's so much more aliveness that you can feel when you're in that place. If you found this episode to be inspiring or you found it valuable, if you know someone else that would benefit from listening to it, please pay it forward to them. I am so grateful for you being here, following me, listening to this podcast. If you haven't subscribed, if you're on YouTube, I invite you to subscribe or leave a review on your favorite audio platform. I look forward to seeing you next time on Masks Off for People Pleasers and Perfectionists.